you guys for being here today. My name is Joe Montoya. Like Mr. Hernandez said, I'm a second-degree black belt under Jay Pages. It's a really big honor for me to come here and talk to you guys today about this. I'm really passionate about Jiu-Jitsu, and I like the lessons that I've learned from it. I hope that some of the things that I'm going to talk to you guys today about, maybe that can apply to you guys and the passions that you have, whatever it is. Does anybody here play any sports? Any sports? What sports you play?
Football.
Nice. What sport do you play? Did you raise your hand?
Oh.
Did you play sports? Basketball? Anything?
Football.
Football? Nice.
Cheer.
Cheer? Nice. All right. Any dancers? Anybody that dances? You guys, do they have school dances after football games still?
Yeah, homecoming. It's different than ours, though.
Is it?
It's a big deal, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. All right. Well, that's awesome. Well, whatever it is that you're doing, I hope that you guys might be able to take some of this stuff and apply it, right? So when you guys think of Jiu-Jitsu, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Anybody? Thought you were raising your hand. You guys, there's nothing comes to mind when you guys think of Jiu-Jitsu, like martial art? Go ahead.
Breaking arms and legs.
Breaking arms and legs. That's basically kind of, yeah, that's what it is. Jiu-Jitsu is, it's about submissions, right, and chokes, things like that. But what mostly people do is they think about like fighting, right? UFC, MMA, things like that, right? So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you about like the culture, what Jiu-Jitsu is, you know, what you can expect if you guys were to go to a gym. You know, it's always welcoming, and I hope you guys would eventually try it. I'm going to talk about the community today, you know, how things are ran, some of the people that I've come across, and the opportunities that they've given me, right? I've had mentors, people like in martial arts will call them senseis or something. I just call them mentors, right? I'm going to talk to you guys about the opportunities that I've been given because of all the work and determination that I've gone through. There's been opportunities that have come up with me. And it's awesome because right now, from where it was at the beginning to where it's at now, it's totally different, right? When Jiu-Jitsu was kind of coming around, a lot of people didn't know what it was. Tell my mom, tell my dad, hey, I'm doing Jiu-Jitsu, or my friends, right? And it was always my aunts. My aunts were always like, you're doing some Jiu-Jitsu, you're doing karate. It's grappling. There is no karate chopping. It's all grappling, okay? So that kind of used to get on my nerves because people didn't know about it, and like it was just something that they didn't understand, right? So let's kind of talk about what grappling is. There's kind of an umbrella of what grappling is. No wrestlers here? Any wrestlers? No wrestlers? All right. So in wrestling, you guys have been around, right? And you've seen the wrestlers here. And you see that they wear the singlet, right? It's that compression thing, and it's really tight, and that's the uniform for wrestling, okay? Now in wrestling, it's mostly fast-paced, and it's about the position, right? Getting the pins. So with wrestling, it's a little bit different than Jiu-Jitsu, but it's kind of like the same language, okay? And in Jiu-Jitsu, we have the gis, where it looks like the pajamas, right? Like a karate suit. And then we have no-gi. I like the no-gi, okay? The no-gi, it's a little bit, it's just the compression. I like the long sleeve. I got shorts, and I got like the spats that run down. It looks like Peter Pan, right? That's the stuff I like. I like it because when you have too much things that are constricting, like the gi, people can hold you down more, right? If I'm playing the game of grappling, I want the no-gi because I can slip out a little bit better, okay? And it's a lot slower paced because we can be offensive off our backs. We can create submissions off our backs, right? Our legs are wrapped around them. It looks like a compromising position, but it's really vital in Jiu-Jitsu that we can, you know, perform off our back and create submissions. Now in judo is kind of like a more violent one because you're grabbing people and you're throwing them to the ground, right? It's a little more aggressive. And I look at it like, yeah, that's the personality of judo is aggressive. Jiu-Jitsu is more mellow, right? And wrestling is like the hyper, like someone that's really hyper that you can't give caffeine to, okay? Because they're always moving around. And I love wrestling. Wrestling is my background. That's where I started, okay? I think wrestling is the greatest sport in the world because it teaches you so much. You have to get in shape. You know, I love it. It was a passion of mine. But I didn't even really want to do it at first. I didn't want to wrestle. This isn't something that I said, hey, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. My dad wrestled in high school, and I didn't really want to start it up because I didn't want him in my business, you know, and I thought, well, I got this, let me do it, just sit back. And so he did. He sat back, he helped me out. He wasn't really, you know, getting his hands into anything, but I had a really good and a strong support system. My mom and dad were great. They always made my meals. Whenever I wrestled, I lived in a small town called Safford, right? And in Safford, it's 3 hours away, and if there was a tournament up here, my dad would have to drive 3 hours to bring me up here, and then we'd go back that day. He was too cheap. He did not want to stay the night. It was up, and it was back, and that was it. So I did these things because I loved wrestling, what I thought I loved wrestling, okay? And I had realizations coming along the way, right? And as we talked before about submissions, it's taking those your arms and your legs and twisting them in areas that they shouldn't be twisting, right? So we talked about that. You know, what do you think of when you hear the word jiu-jitsu, UFC, MMA, the Gracies, right? Hoist Gracie was the first one that came, and he had the gi on, and he went to UFC 1, and he kind of brought it out, right? And from that point on to where it's at, you know, a lot of people now are doing it. I think the word jiu-jitsu kind of scared some people. So now you got, you know, Demi Lovato, she was doing jiu-jitsu. Ed O'Neill, does anybody watch Married with Children or Modern Family? He's a black belt. You have singers. Wiz Khalifa, he just got his blue belt or purple belt, I think. He's been training with the Diaz brothers. You know, a lot of people are starting to recognize it and the benefits from it. There's so much that you can benefit from jiu-jitsu. You have to learn how to do so much. It's not just about the art. You know, you have to deal with your anxieties. You got to deal with, you know, high pressure situations. And that's what people are starting to do. I've seen families come in, you know, moms, dads, they bring their little kids. Teenagers come in with their moms, you know, and they're training with each other, right? If you have a sibling, imagine bringing them in, and now you get to choke them, and now you get to submit them, right? And it's got a respectable type of atmosphere, because when you submit somebody, you have to tap, right? And that's the respect. Hey, you got me, you know, it's over, I tap, let's start over again. So that's kind of like the culture in jiu-jitsu, right? With wrestling, it's more aggressive and fast-paced, but I feel like if I would have had the jiu-jitsu culture and mindset when I was younger, it might have helped me out a little bit more, right? Now, who is benefiting from jiu-jitsu right now? Is anybody going into the military? Anybody? Nice. Love it. I have a lot of friends that are, you know, they're going into the military. I have, you know, people at the gym, girls, they're going into the military, and they're trying to get everything they can, because in the military, that's what they're teaching. They're going ahead in the boot camp training, they're showing the basics of jiu-jitsu, right? So if you go to a jiu-jitsu gym, you'll be ahead of the game. And it's just fun. I think once you get into it, you'll love it, right? Law enforcement, a lot of cops and, you know, law enforcement officers, we have a pretty good amount at our gym. And they run a program that, like, once a month, they get together and they go over how to, like, subdue people, right? Because in wrestling, you're trying to pin someone down that doesn't want to be pinned down, right? And if you're laughing and having fun with friends, or if you've ever rolled around or wrestled with your siblings, right, cousins, relatives, it's hard to do, right? It's fun, you're laughing, but holding someone down, it's really hard to do. Okay, so law enforcement, they're starting to get into it, and I think they're even starting to make programs in areas where you have to be a blue belt, right? They want you to be a blue belt, so that way they know you have a grasp of what's going on in altercations, right? Everyday people, like I said, men, women, children, everybody, and maybe you guys might. Hopefully you guys might want to go check out a jiu-jitsu gym, and you guys might fall in love with it, right? And that's the thing is anybody can do it, and I can tell you how I know anybody can do it because the first time I actually tried jiu-jitsu, I was humbled, very much so. I had a friend, I was working construction, right? I got done, and he had me try out jiu-jitsu. And the things that happened to me, they really changed my life. It was different. But just real quick on my background, yes, I took state. When I was in 8th grade, it was my first year. Wrestling, like I said, my dad, I didn't really want him in my business. I didn't want to do it. So I waited till 8th grade. And when I told my dad I wanted to do it, he was really excited, started helping me out. And from there, it just kind of went on. I had all these, things in my head that I had made up, that I wouldn't like wrestling, that I was just going to try it, and then I'd be done with the tryout. But I liked it. My friends got me in. They were great friends. My parents, great support system. And so I took state, and it was totally unexpected. So then from there, I went on to high school, and that's when I started realizing things are different. It got a little more intense. I placed my freshman, my sophomore, and my junior years. And then finally, for my junior and my senior year, I realized I had to work extra. I had to do more than just go to class, just go to practice. So I had to start, lifting, running. I was grabbing people that I could to get to the wrestling room to do that extra work, right? Anything you're passionate about, you want to do it more and more. Even in times whenever you don't feel good, you have a passion for it. You just keep going, right? So I learned all these lessons, and by the time my senior year, I'd won it, and I had my coach, Herman Andrews. These were awesome times for me whenever I thought I loved wrestling. I thought, man, I love it. I'm going to try it. I'm going to go, and I'll do junior college, right? So I went to Pima Community College, and I had great teammates. I had an awesome coach. They pushed me to my best. But what I took away from Pima was having thick skin and having grit. I had a friend that was, he was an amazing guy that we loved, and he would come in every day, but he never won a match. He didn't win one single match. Now he put in all this work, and he tried doing everything he could to just win one match, but it never happened. Can you guys imagine that? Whatever you're passionate at and whatever you love to do, and you feel defeated all the time. Would you still keep doing what you like? Would you be doing what you're passionate about? This guy didn't care. He didn't care about who talked negatively about him. He didn't feel down. He would take the losses a little hard, but for him, it was all about moving forward, okay? He checked his ego. He was always checking his ego. And from that point on, that was when I decided, wow, I love jiu-jitsu, but this guy really loves jiu-jitsu. Who can go ahead, do their passion, feel defeated, and keep moving on, right? So from there, I used that lesson and I took it into jiu-jitsu, right? So what jiu-jitsu is, I'm just gonna go through the culture. You got white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, and black belt. When you get your stripes for your white belt, you get 4 stripes, and then you move up to a blue belt, okay? Same thing with blue belt, purple belt, and brown belt. When you get to black belt, it's different. So every 3 years, you get a stripe when you're a black belt, right? I have 2 stripes, so I've been a black belt for 6 years. Now, after that, you get 4 stripes as a black belt every 3 years, and then after that, I believe it's 5 years if I'm not mistaken. So that's a long ways in between. But with each belt, there's always different challenges, right? And it's different challenges for different people. Not every challenge is the same for each person. That's why I love jiu-jitsu. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you are in life, what culture you are, what politics you have. Everybody there is there to get better and do jiu-jitsu. How many places like that do you know of where there's no confrontation, nobody's arguing? That's why I love jiu-jitsu, right? So to get your black belt, you got to go not just to the classes. It's not just about doing the techniques and all these movements, right? Because that's all jiu-jitsu is we're doing a list of movements, a sequence of movements, like a dancer, right? It's like a dance, but a very aggressive dance. And we do all these sequences, and we do our best to get, right with the technique and do it in a way that we can hold someone down that's resisting, right? But as we're doing this, as I've gone along my journey, I've learned it's not just about those things. How do you treat the people around you, your teammates, your classmates, right? If somebody's interested in something that I'm doing and they're having trouble with it, I want to make them feel welcomed, right? In my gym, we're always going up to the new people, how you doing? We're open about it. We make eye contact. You know, you're smiling. You're making sure that people feel like they're welcomed at your gym. Those are some of the biggest things that I've learned, you know, throughout this journey. All right, so when I wanted to get better at jiu-jitsu, what did I have to do, right? And this is just applicable to anything you want, whether it's your job, right? You're applying for a job, you have a passion for dancing, music. Anybody play music? Got any musicians? No? All right, well, if you play music, then it applies to that too, right? So what I did was, because I'm in jiu-jitsu, I started investing in mats. And I started getting those mats. I put them in my home. It was like an enclosed garage, and I started working on my techniques. I started working on what I wanted, on my craft, right? And then I started competing from that because I felt confident. I was feeling good. And now once I started competing, my name started getting out there a little bit more. People kind of started realizing, hey, he knows what he's doing. He's winning some matches. You know, it was nice to get a little bit of recognition. Seminars are something that I would always try to attend to. If someone's giving a seminar and they're teaching techniques, something that I like, I want to invest that in me. So I'm going to give them money, and then they're going to teach me those techniques, and I'm going to keep those techniques forever, right? Now those techniques that they give me, I can go ahead and learn as I'm going along, and I can use that as a way to make money for myself, right? So I would always take personals and seminars, and I would always try to up my game that way, right? And as I kept on going to class and being personable with people, people started asking me about my techniques, about my jiu-jitsu, right? But the only reason they were asking me is because I was personable with them. I had to have a sense of professionalism with them, right? And I'll get into that right now. Because as I climbed into jiu-jitsu, all right, we good? All right. As I climbed in jiu-jitsu and I started realizing things, I started, you know, learning some lessons along the way. I was with John Montoya at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, and he basically started giving me my belts. He gave me my blue belt, he gave me my purple belt. And it was awesome because as soon as I started getting my purple belt and people started talking to me, he started asking me, hey, do you want to teach personals? Do you want to teach personal lessons? I said, sure, not a problem. How do I do this? How do I go about it? You know, and basically I would go there, teach the techniques, and you know, people would give me the cash. I wasn't used to it at first because I was too much of the mindset of I had to get the information and that was mine. But now that I'm sharing it, all right, I want to give the best of myself, and I want to be patient and approachable so that way you enjoy the personal lesson that I'm giving you, right? So I had a really hard time trying to figure out, well, what should I charge? How much should I be charging people for these lessons, right? After me going through and getting these seminars and these personal lessons, that's a lot of work. Mats, that costed some money. You know, I invested in myself. And once these people started asking me questions, I started having to think, all right, well, what is my time worth? What am I worth, right? And it's kind of like a confidence thing. So what I started doing is I started asking other people around, hey, how much do you charge for a lesson? How much do you charge for a lesson? And I started thinking, all right, well, I came up with a price and I said $40 for the hour. If you just want lessons, it's $40 for the hour. Now, if we want to roll and go live and really try to wrestle around, and that's going to cause me more energy and time, right? I charge an extra 10. So I would charge 50. And I thought, all right, maybe that might be too high, because at first I was only charging 25, and that was a little low. And then people were like, you should charge a little bit more than that, Joe. You should charge a little bit. You're a black belt. You're a good guy. You know, I think I'm a good guy. I'm nice. I want to be respectful to people. So I thought, all right. So I started changing my price, and I said 50 bucks. And then from there, when I started getting kind of used to that, I was with Dave Farias. He's one of the guys that was pivotal in me getting my black belt, right? I would substitute for him, and I helped him prepare for what's called combat jiu-jitsu. Now, combat jiu-jitsu, it's wrestling, but you get to smack him in the face. And you can only do it on the ground. If we're both standing up, there's no smacking. But if I have you on the ground and there's an open spot, someone's getting smacked, right? That's combat jiu-jitsu. I didn't really like it. Got smacked a couple times by my buddy and said, I'm good. We'll do some, we'll just work on jiu-jitsu, right? So I kind of started figuring out what I like, what kind of jiu-jitsu I want to do. And Jay Pages is the one that gave me my black belt, okay? Jay Pages is someone that I adore. He's a mentor of mine. He's there and he does more than just jiu-jitsu, right? It's a big gym. What he does for the community is amazing. Normally when you go to and sign up for classes, those can be, they can range from like $120 to about $50 a month. But Jay always has like a special going on. And what he does is it's called open mat, right? Everybody comes together from all over the valley. It's not just our gym. You know, we have people coming from up north, other gyms. There's usually like about 200 people in the room, it looks like it's a warehouse, right? That was turned into a gym. And he doesn't charge anybody. You just go in, you sign the waiver, and it's kind of like going to a dance, right? Like if you ask someone to dance, now you're dancing, right? And you're boogieing, you're getting your groove on. And jiu-jitsu is kind of the same way, but it's more aggressive, right? We're looking to submit, we're looking to choke. And when you get done, what's crazy is now you made a friend. You just got done trying to choke me and submit me, and now you probably got to ask that person's name. Hey, what's your name? You know, it's really fun to socialize in those things. What Jay does for us is not only does he let me give personals, sometimes gyms, what they'll do is they'll say, okay, you're using our gym to go ahead and give this lesson. We want a percentage of that, right? So if I'm charging 50 bucks, they might say, all right, give us 10. Right, something like some gyms do it, not all gyms. Jay doesn't do that. I get to do what I want. I get to show whatever I want, and Jay just lets me be me, right? That's fantastic because it's not just about money for him. It's about the community and how we bring each other up, right? What Jay also does is he gives us opportunities to travel. What he does is he goes out of the country and he, goes with other people from other gyms around the world, and you train for like 4 days, right? But it's a 10-day trip. So the middle 4 days, you're just training. But the first 2 days, you're out and you're sightseeing, and you're going to, like I said, you're going to Iceland, Ireland, Costa Rica. He goes to Mexico. And most of the times when he goes, I'll substitute if he needs me to, but we have a lot of people at the gym. And that's the things that have been presented to me with Jay, right? Now, when I talk to these guys, to Dave, to Jay, my buddy John Bateo, I have a friend named Steele Levine. He has 10th Planet Scottsdale, up there in Scottsdale. He was putting on like 3-day camps, right? And you would pay your money. It was kind of pricey, like 200 bucks, but it was 3 days with like 3 seminars each day. And all I was doing was going up there, meeting new people, trying these new techniques, and socializing, having fun, right? It was really fun to watch how some of the guys that I started with, they started some gyms up, right? And I love doing the personals. I love doing what's called mastermind sessions, right? Like if I charged you 40 or 50 bucks because it's just you and me, right? But you bring him with you. So maybe I'll charge 30. So you pay 30 and you pay 30. I get 60, but you guys don't pay the 40, right? So I like trying to do that to where it brings the cost down for people, but I still get compensated, right? And that's something that Jay taught me how to do was, hey, try to teach as, a couple people and maybe you can get to, more personable, because if you teach a seminar, then it's a larger group. It's hard to get to everybody. I like giving the best of myself. I want to make sure that you guys understand what I'm trying to teach, what the goal is with each technique, whether it's a submission, a choke, an escape. I love takedowns. Takedowns are my thing to do. Like I said, it's my background is wrestling. I think taking someone down that doesn't want to be taken down, it's an art, right? My goals are to be a J Pages affiliate, right? I'd love to have my own gym eventually. I'm working on getting a house, and I'm saving things up, and I'm really talking to other people and people like my mentor, right? If you have a coach, if you have a mentor, somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, that's gold. It is gold. Respect is gold, right? When you respect people and you show them that you're grateful for what they've done for you or the teachings that they've given you, they will most likely just go ahead and keep giving you that information, right? If I'm taking a personal, like I said, that information's like gold for me. It's like potential money, right? So I would love to be a J Pages affiliate. I'd love to be his first all-no-gi affiliate. That'd be amazing. Having my own gym and maybe, working with other people. Running a gym by yourself is tough. I've learned that the people that I have worked with, they have somebody extra. Jay has his wife, Lisa. She's amazing. Man, that lady's tapped me out with wrist locks like crazy. But she's amazing. And so it's always, they have somebody helping them out. Steele has his wife, but John Mateo has his. And then we have other affiliates where up in Scottsdale, I think it's called Social Club. I have friends over at Ethos in Queen Creek with Wyatt Shepard and Tyler Larson. More guys that have really been helpful with me. They keep me thinking. When I ask them about, hey, what does it take to run a gym? What does it take to be successful? They'll tell me every time, discipline, each one of them, discipline. Do not rely on motivation. Motivation comes and goes, right? And if you're only doing work on when you're motivated, well, then you're not consistent and your goals are gonna be farther away than if you were that you had discipline, right? So with discipline, you're gonna create those habits, right? With those habits, you're gonna start creating a routine. And with that routine, now that you got a routine, you're gonna create a lifestyle, right? So discipline is something that Jay, John, Tyler, and Wyatt, they've all taught me. You gotta be disciplined. It's a job that's 7 days a week. They don't really have time off because they're too busy trying to improve their gym. They're trying to improve, and it's about their students. So they make it about their students, and the most important thing is it's a business, okay? They talk about, yes, they have their friends there in their gym, but it's a business. If you're teaching a cheerleading class and you're only bringing in your friends and you're just letting them, hang out and you're not really charging them, you're not going to make any money if that's what you're trying to do, right? If that's what you're going to do to make an income, right? So going ahead and realizing that you got to have a thick skin, you got to be disciplined, and that your gym is your business, okay? I have issues with that too. Like I said, when I charge people, sometimes like my cousins will, hey man, can you help me out? Yeah, not a problem, Sometimes I'll tell them, oh, don't worry about it. And they look at me, dude, this is what you do. Here's your money. Don't say anything else. I'm working on that part right there, right? So discipline and realizing that your ideas are not always gonna be hits. Okay, if you're having your own business and you have ideas, right? Not all your ideas are gonna be hits. You're gonna have some misses. I had friends that had tried, making extra money, selling extra shirts, shorts, gyms have that. I'm wearing one today. They have like apparel, right? And I had a friend, he thought he had a great idea and he was gonna sell backpacks. Right? So he had backpacks and he bought them for like 30 bucks. He was selling them for 60 and he wanted to see that money right away. Well, months went by, those backpacks weren't moving. The current students, they were not buying it. And so he thought, man, this was a bust. So they just sat there for 6 months. And then he had some kids come in from the same school and he just said, all right, since you're coming in and you're trying the class, I'll give you these backpacks. So he gave the backpacks to the kids. They went out, went to school, and then about 2-3 weeks later, he started getting more kids coming in. And as these kids started coming in, he started handing those backpacks out. Now, he thought he lost money with those backpacks, but that wasn't the case. What happened was those kids that he gave the free ones to, they went out, they started playing with their other friends. Now they're probably like 8, 9, like they're young, they're not high school kids, right? So then their parents started looking at their backpacks and started asking questions. Well, then they started coming in. And what happened was he basically paid for advertisements, right? This was before like social media and stuff like that. So he got an influx of students that came in, and he went from, I have a great idea, I'm gonna make money off these backpacks, to 6 months later, I lost money, these backpacks aren't worth anything. Back to another 3 months, these backpacks were great. They worked out. They didn't work out in the way that he wanted, but he stuck with it, right? So sometimes you got to understand, you're not always going to reach your goals. You're not always going to have a good idea that's going to hit. Sometimes you're going to miss, but you don't stop. You keep going. You guys understand that part? Yeah? All right. So while I'm doing all this and I'm trying to give the best of myself, right, I have to, not have an ego. I can't, be prideful. Some guys would get jealous if you go to someone else for a personal or something like that. I don't feel that way. I feel like you should be trying to get information from wherever you can, okay? Wherever you can get that information, that's potential money, right? So I have fun what I'm doing. I know Jay has fun what he's doing, but he sticks to his principles. He's disciplined. It's a business, and he stays true to himself, right? Some of the biggest things we do is we put ourselves out there, and we're open for criticism, right? And if you have a passion doing something, you're out in the public and you're doing a sport, you're playing an instrument, you're cheering, you're playing football, people are gonna pick you apart. Besides your coaches, if you're in a sport, coaches for football, they have to do that, right? And those are the ones we listen to. We don't listen to the people that have no idea what we're doing. So that's one of the biggest things I can tell you guys is wherever you're at, whatever you're passionate about, don't let outside forces manipulate how you do whatever it is you're trying to do. Don't let them affect your goals. Does that make sense? Don't be prideful. Free your ego. Try to bring other people up if there's something that you like, or maybe somebody admires you, right? Maybe somebody admires you at cheer, right? Help those people out that want to achieve, a goal, and you'll be better off for it. People will be more inclined to come up to you and ask you for help. Maybe they might ask you for, something, hey, I'll pay you for your time, because time is precious, right? You got 24 hours in a day, 8 hours are to sleep, right? Hopefully. And then you come to school or you go to your job, and then from there, your free time is your free time. That's when it starts determining, all right, how much should I charge for my time? And I hope you guys take something out of this. I hope you guys can take whatever it is that you're doing, apply it to your sport, to your passion, your hobby, and just run with it. Does anybody have any questions for me? Well, I'm going to ask you questions then.
How long did it take you to get your black belt?
12 years. It took me 12 years. I was a purple belt for 7, and that was because with the transition, when John transitioned and I transitioned, it was like I kind of was doing my own thing. I was chasing information. I wasn't chasing belts. But then finally my buddy was like, hey, put on a gi, Dave Farias, he said, put on a gi. I feel like you can get your black belt quick. And I said, I don't know if I want to do the gi. And then I did it. I had to be uncomfortable. I was more comfortable in no gi. But yeah, but sorry, go.
What made you do Jiu-Jitsu?
I had a friend from, I was working construction, I was plumbing. I got into a trade, right? Which I always recommend if you don't know what you want to do, a trade it's a good way to go. So I was in the plumbing, and he heard me talking about wrestling, and he said, hey, you want to try Jiu-Jitsu? And I thought, no, I'll check it out. Like, I have an idea, I'll just wrestle. I was kind of cocky about it, like, yeah, I'll go in. And then when I got in there, there was like a couple people that were smaller than me, and this one kid named David. I went in there, and he just put it on me, and he was short, he was smaller than me. My neck was sore, my arms were just tattered, and then I said, okay, I'm gonna go with this next guy. So I went with this kid named Matt Betzold, and Matt Betzold really put it on me too. He never wrestled really, and he like just held me down, took my arms, my leg, my neck. But the thing about it was he had one leg. So I got beat up by a guy with one leg, and he was doing arm bars, he was doing triangles, and I went home, I kept thinking to myself, how did that guy do that? That was ridiculous. I turned the music off so I could just focus on my thoughts. It was crazy. That right there is what made me say, I'll come back. It was a far drive too. It was like up on Cave Creek Road, and I lived on Country Club in Guadalupe. So that was like a 45-minute drive, but I was doing it 3 times a week just to because I loved it. I had fun.
Have you ever met any like famous UFC fighters?
You guys know who Justin Gaethje is? Justin Gaethje's from Safford, and that's where me and Mr. Hernandez are from. And when Justin was in high school, I used to go down. Actually, no. I used to know Justin when he was 4 years old. I was in high school, and he was a mean little kid on the mats. Cool kid, him and his brother. And I would go to tournaments with a group of people, and I was the oldest one there. It was in Safford, and wrestling wasn't popular back then. Wrestling wasn't something that people were like, yeah, because we had the singlets that came up to here, right? And the singlets now, they go down here. But the singlets that I had, I was like, I don't know if I want to do it because of those things, but I still did it, and oh my God, those things were rough, like Wedgieville all the time, man. It was horrible. But it was really fun, using my wrestling to try to get to Jiu-Jitsu, and really fun watching people like Justin. He was in the UFC. There was another kid named Matt Lopez. He was in the UFC, right? And they both grew up together. And it was really fun. I've rolled against this guy named Dan Hardy. He fought George St. Pierre for the title once, and that was pretty fun.
You went against Dan Hardy?
Yeah.
I've heard that.
He was one of the strongest people to put his hands on me. I was like, oh my God, his hands are all big, but it's been really fun. I like rolling with people that, I'm not always trying to get submissions. I like rolling with people that are just trying it out, right? Like sometimes I'll roll with my friend Carrie. She's I think she just turned 50. I don't think she'd like that if I said that right now. But I like rolling with her because it's fun. It's like a dance, like I said. And if you can catch me in something, that's awesome. But if I catch you in something, like I'm not gonna try to squeeze it and get the submission. I'll let you go and we'll kind of keep going. But I have been submitted by kids, teenage girls, teenage boys, guys with one leg. I have no ego anymore. When you get humbled, it's you start realizing you don't judge books by its covers. You don't know what people have as knowledge. So I really learned how not to judge a book by its cover, really. But it's been a really fun ride. Anybody else?
How many years have you been doing it?
I started wrestling in 1992, and from there, I was always chasing someone that had access to a wrestling room. In Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling helps, but you don't have to have it. Like there's people that have no athleticism. They never did anything. I've seen people come in and they're like 300 pounds, and then like 4 months later, I come walking in, and then I don't say anything to them. They're like, what's up? You can't say hello? Oh my God, the transformation was amazing, But I've been doing it for a long time. I chased buddies that had access to wrestling rooms. If they had wrestling rooms in their house, sometimes they had like jobs, after school programs, and they'd have access to the room at a middle school. There was a place called Anderson Middle School. It's in Chandler. He used to like work over there, so I'd go inside. He'd start teaching me more about wrestling. The thing about if you have a business or whatever your job you're at or hobby, you should always, if you love what you're doing, try to improve. One of the biggest things I learned was, I used to do this all the time when I was a kid, right? And my dad just hated it. He'd start talking to me and I'd say, I know. And my dad would say, you don't know, or else I wouldn't have to tell you these things. So I had to start checking my ego, checking my pride. Even if I thought I knew the information, I still, keep my mouth quiet because there might be something that I didn't catch, right? So that was something that I learned in wrestling. Stop telling your coaches or your mentors, I know. No, take a deep breath, you're all right, and learn the technique, but it took a while.
Joe, you mentioned this last hour, can you read, talk about anxiety. How did Jiu-Jitsu help you with anxiety or help, you know, because a lot of students have anxiety, a lot of adults have anxiety. How'd that help?
Yeah. So in Jiu-Jitsu, we have to teach people to breathe, right? When you start having anxiety, your breaths, when you start exhaling, it's shorter, right? Next time you're in a stressful situation, you got a little bit of anxiety, ask yourself, what's my breath like? Because whenever I'm rolling with someone that's brand new, I have to tell them, hey, take a deep breath, because what happens, they tighten up like this, and they're trying to move. And imagine trying to sprint, and you're not breathing, you're not exhaling, you're not inhaling and exhaling. You're just running. That's what Jiu-Jitsu is like. People are trying to, you know, get into these situations, and they're trying to figure out how to get there, and at the same time they're trying to control their anxieties, because if I have you in a choke, some people panic right away. You know, some people understand like, hey, this is where I'm at, I'll tap right now, and that's the respect. But it's mostly about teaching people how to control that breathing and that mindset, right? And in Jiu-Jitsu, we're taught to put ourselves in bad situations so we know how to get out of them, so we don't have that anxiety, right? And it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Like when you think about people that have been through a lot in their lives, right? They've lost a loved one, or, you know, maybe they lost parents, or their childhood wasn't that great, you know, something like that. They've been through a lot of hard times. You can't break people like that. They've already gone through hard times. They've already, you know, had heartache. They've already felt that pain. And so it's hard to break them, because they've already gone through that. They know they have to move forward, because it's just a moment in time that we feel like that, right? Once you start checking your breathing and you start realizing, wow, I'm all right. And that tension that you have, you know how like you guys are here in school, and you guys are you want to get up, you want to walk around, you know, sitting for an hour, listen to someone talk, it can be boring, you know, I totally get it. I've been there. You feel better, like that anxiety is gone. Like you feel at peace. You're ready to sit down, do your homework, or focus on what you want to do. You know, that's what Jiu-Jitsu has done for me. Anybody else?
Did you ever expect that this would be the career choice you would choose?
No, because I didn't really want to even do wrestling. Like wrestling was something that I didn't really want to do. This is kind of something that I just fell into. And then once people kind of started giving me some cash, you know, it's not like I'm busy all the time with privates, right? Like I'll have like 2 a month or something like that. It's just something that I thought, man, I'm good at this. I'm passionate about it. You know, if somebody paid me to watch, you know, Marvel movies all day, I'd do it. You know, you're gonna pay me to do something I love? All right, you know, that's great. So it was just one of those things that I love doing it, so might as well keep going. And if it's something that, hey, I can't do anymore, you know, something goes wrong, I'd probably get into something like realty, or, you know, something else that I can compensate some money for. But it's always nice to have, you know, something side. Maybe not just one thing, right? You know, try to do something else. Because I know that some of these guys that have opened up gyms, one gym that was a Muay Thai gym, that, you know, he had his own Muay Thai gym, and he asked instructors to come in and teach Jiu-Jitsu. The way he got his gym was he bought an ice cream truck, right? He had an ice cream truck, and he would just go around and sell ice cream, right? So from that, he got all that money from the ice cream truck, and then he used that money to get his gym. Right? So just jumping into something that you're passionate about, it might not be there for you. You might have to go another route, you know, to get to where you're at. So just stick with what you're doing. Don't compare yourself to other people or other things that you're interested in. Focus on your goals and what you got to do to attain it, right? If you have a goal, write down what you got to do to get there. And then as each ladder you climb, you know, you're checking it off. But don't let outside forces manipulate what you want to do and what you're passionate about, because then you're just not having fun, and you probably won't be passionate about it.
Any other questions?
Man, I hope you guys have a good school year. I hope whatever it is that you guys are doing, man, I hope you have fun with it. And, you know, maybe I'll see you guys at a jiu-jitsu gym, Maybe if I get my own gym, I might catch you guys there, right? But check it out if you guys can. If you guys don't want to do that, check out something that you're interested in, whatever it is. And just have fun, smile, and don't wipe smiles off people's faces, right? That's like one of the worst things I feel when people are excited or they're ready to go or they're just happy with their day. And if I wipe someone's smile off the face, I feel horrible. And at the same time, I don't want people wiping smiles off my faces, so I'm comfortable with who I am, and I block those outside forces. Just smile, guys. Just have a good time, and good luck to you guys. I hope you guys have a great school year.